Hello everybody, it is Mike Levin, and today I will be upgrading my standalone Jupyter lab again. So if I go to About Jupyter, you can see I'm on version 3.2.5-1. So this video is about upgrading this version to the latest version, which is 2 past that. So if I go to check for updates, which I have actually turned off the automatic checking, it was becoming so annoying because it kept reminding me to upgrade to this version here, which had some major problems. So on this latest version, you can see the main thing is fix for Python environment activation problems on Windows. So it's interesting that that's problem 404 because the Python exe was not found, and that's the response code for not found in HTTP. Anyway, sort of nerd jokes, but this is all nerd turf, so nerd jokes are to be expected. We're skipping this version. You see, this version here is the one I'm on, 5-1. So I'll be upgrading to this here. And to do that, they tell you to make sure to uninstall the previous version. They give you some uninstall instructions, but I am here to tell you that the uninstall instructions are just go into the Windows uninstaller and uninstall both versions. So we're going to start out with that. In fact, I'm going to quit out of, well, I'll keep my browser going because that's controlling my streaming now, isn't it? So we have to go into settings. Still weird that streaming is for YouTube is controlled by going into a browser. It just shows us how powerful browsers really are these days. So we can just search the list for Jupyter, and it's both of these that I'll be wanting to uninstall. If you have Anaconda on your machine, you'll have even more than this, but right now with just a standalone Jupyter, there is a server component which you have to uninstall. And then there's the quote browser or desktop client component. It's an Electron app, meaning it's built from Google Chrome components. That's just an FYI. The server component takes a little bit longer to uninstall. That's the invisible in the background stuff, which anyone running Anaconda should think of the server component as that black terminal window that opens with Jupyter and stays open for as long as you're running it. You don't have that on the standalone version. It feels like just a single, program window app. So it's still showing there, but I'm pretty sure I uninstalled it. I'll click uninstall on the client. Sometimes it just takes a little bit for it to catch up with you. See, that lower one is gone. Okay, so now the old Jupyter is uninstalled. I wish the upgrade story was a little bit better. I'll get rid of the icon on the desktop. And now we will reproduce that process. I guess it's latest Jupyter. Download standalone Jupyter. Sometimes if you need to find that page again, you need to go through a few steps, but I guess you can just search on standalone Jupyter, not the install, and that'll at least bring you to this blog post. This is the one that sort of kicked it off, where they announced it was available, and then they link to the GitHub version, and that sells you on it, and then you go to, say, the Windows installer, and this should, oh, there it is. That should be the very latest it's giving. if we ever wanted to make sure, we could look at it here, and we could use the download link here, which would be this one, 531 megabytes, Jupyter Labs Setup Windows, 500. Yeah, I mean, that's the one that was off of the home page. I'm going to assume that on the Git repo home page, they have the latest, and we can always check the version, but so once that download is done, we pop on over into that download folder. I keep my browser window. I'm always so tempted to close the browser window. I'm sure I'm going to kill streaming at some point by doing that by accident. But here it is, still in the unconfirmed state. It'll take a moment for it to finish out. I did a screen capture today. I'll show you while that's finishing. My YouTube channel is starting to take off. Thank you, people. Although it is coming in from suggested videos from the YouTube system. So YouTube is suggesting my videos to more people than it used to by a rate of, you know, it recently spiked to, what is that, 2,000 per day, 4,000. Coming up on 6,000 per day, coming up in auto suggest. It's pretty cool, right? Still saying unconfirmed. Where's that browser? Oh, I have to tell it to keep. That's what's going on there. So that's something you need to be aware of because it's a exe downloaded from the internet. It makes you really jump through hoops. See, I had to do that keep anyway, and not until then did that, you know, in process file become the windows.exe file. So I double click that now, and I start the Jupyter install. And the same hoops. This is not a good part of their story. They might have to get this into the Windows Store. I mean, this is probably one of the ways Microsoft is pushing the whole Windows Store on people, that if you try and distribute a .exe these days, this is the kind of rigmarole you need to go through. And you know, when you have to reinstall a lot, like keeping up to date with all the latest Jupyter notebooks, the standalone Jupyter desktops, install after install, this is a lot of rigmarole, a lot of hoops to jump through. It's probably even going to tell me I need to restart my system, which I'm not going to do to just demonstrate to you it running, because that would stop the live cast. So there we've got our icon back. I put it back in location. I immediately do my favorite thing, which is to go into that icon properties, and its keyboard shortcut should be Control-Alt-J for Jupyter. Okay. It needs admin level for doing that sort of stuff these days. Next, agree. For all users, that's fine. Keep the defaults, keep the defaults. 3291. Yeah, 3251. So this is definitely a big few versions newer than what I was using. I'm hoping that the extensions plugin system has come to the standalone Jupyter, although it would have told me. I think I would have noticed it on that change log. But for now, I'm just glad to have, you know, auto quotes, closing of quotes, closing of parentheses. There's some things that were turned off in the configuration by default that I had to turn back on. But anyway, let's see what we got here in a few moments. Making you wait for an install. Could there be a more exciting YouTube video? I don't think so. All that's going on. Is there something it's waiting for me to approve? No, I don't think so. That's not one of those cases where it really was just waiting because of a hidden requester. I guess while we're here, I'll take you into my YouTube analytics, I suppose. It's really taken a long time for that last step. There's the analytics. So, I'm pretty small time as far as YouTube goes. But you can see this recent surge in, referrals from the YouTube suggest thing. My subscribers just passed over 10,000. I've been at 9,000 for like years, and now all of a sudden there's interest. I think it's a YouTube algorithm tweak. This looks like it's got to be waiting for me. It couldn't be taking that long, but I don't see any other requesters there. Preparing transaction. No, nothing else there. So I got a really weird YouTube history. Here's the lifetime. So, I go back to 2006. It's around 2006 back here. And then, around this time, I start to do stuff more aggressively on YouTube. The Raspberry Pi unboxing was somewhere around here. And then, something else. This might have been just my removable finger video being discovered. And then now it has the potential of spiking as high as it ever has. I don't know if it'll ever go this high in as far as daily, but something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. So let's see some of the other metrics. Am I just a views wonder? No, I got some decent watch time as well, although much more back here. That Raspberry Pi was a big thing. Your estimated revenue, yeah. Over the lifetime of it, all my YouTube activity together, estimated revenue of $3,000. It's chump change. It's a few hours of work and what I do professionally. So this is all just a sounding wall. I know a lot of people like to make a career out of it, but the greatest value of YouTube, oh, and look at that, there's a next there. Well, at least it was a while to get for that bar to finish, so I didn't make you wait needlessly too long. Oh, can't close that. Streaming. All right, so let's bring this up. And we can see it nuked my settings, which is fine. Look, I think I brought it up twice. I'll quit out of that one. Maximize this one. Theme and dark. Oh, all right, makes it easy to look at. And then the main thing after that is, I guess, just to create any old notebook for the sake of trying. Import one of my libraries. OAuth. OAuth will only be there. See, it nuked the whole virtual env or lost reference to it. So I'm going to have to go through that process of pip installing a lot of things again. But that's really no big deal. Interesting. Control plus isn't letting me go. It's only letting me go small. Control plus won't let me go to a bigger font. How can Control plus not be making a bigger font? That would be a critical thing if that were the case. Ugh. But Control minus works, Control plus doesn't. Let's see if quitting out at this point, it makes more sense to quit out and rerun than to try and look at the menus at that very small size. Please don't come back up in that miniature size. Or if you do, let my keyboard short. It's not my keyboard, standard keyboard shortcuts. Control plus and minus for bigger and smaller fonts and web browser based software is pretty standard. And there it is small. Ah, Control plus is working, thank goodness. Okay, it's asking which kernel to use. Nope, standard Python 3 kernel, select. And all right. So one of the things I do now is I round up all my very common dependencies in GitHub. And I know there's all these dependency managers and everything, but you know, a truly tried and true method is to have a list of your dependencies in your notebook. That way you can just copy, paste, and run it. Oh, interesting, interesting. It doesn't like them as all on one line, but you could do them one at a time. See, Jupyter is made to recognize a pip install command. So this is where a dependency manager would really come in handy. You wouldn't have to do them one at a time. I'm not going to make you suffer through that. I'll probably pick some package manager. There's a ton of them. There's Poetry, pip, env, and you know, each one of them has their own method of just, you know, installing everything. So I could make a requirements file. I could go the non-package being required to do it and just use the pip command to do it, because there's pip freeze and pip restore. So I would pip freeze my current environment after I have everything installed, create a requirements file, and then pip install from the requirements file, and it would just throw everything on here. But at any rate, that is an upgraded Jupyter. About Jupyter Lab 3.2.9-1. And I was on 3.2.5-1, so I went from version 3.2.5 to 3.2.9. There you go. It's an upgrade. I don't know what features really to look for here. I just know I wanted to be on the latest that actually found the python.exe, because that last version didn't. And now settings. No, not settings, but help, check for latest version, and make sure that's checked, because now I want to be reminded again. It's not just an annoyance, because the version it was trying to get me to upgrade to wouldn't run once I upgraded it. So there you have it. That's this video. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.